Welcome back, everyone, to Radiant Resilience. I'm so excited for this conversation today. I think it's going to be very fun. I have with me April Day Garcia. She is a certified occupational therapy assistant, a Reiki practitioner, accessible travel agency owner, and nonprofit president who has transformed personal adversity into a mission of healing and empowerment. After removing alcohol from her life in August 2024, April has navigated her history of childhood trauma, generational cycles, and the messy, non-linear journey of reclaiming her life, one brave choice at a time. Her debut memoir, The Room to be Brave, Sometimes the Way Forward Begins with Going Back, uses the metaphor of rooms to explore how we must sometimes revisit our past to create a different future. April used tools like therapy, meditation, journaling, making a space for joy, and being of service to heal. She brings authenticity and irreverent humor to her speaking and telling her story in hopes of inspiring others. She lives on Long Island with her husband Rick and their daughter Bella, who designed the cover art for her book. Oh, how amazing!
It's so cute. I love it.
Yay! I can't wait to see it. Thank you so much, April, for being here. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited. I think it's
Yes, me too. I think this is going to be a good conversation. So I'm going to let you kind of start wherever you feel the right starting point is in your backstory.
Okay.
Which, usually there's like a million options. So
I know. I'm like, it was 1978.
yes.
It was a cold, rainy day in 78.
Yes.
Yeah, I wrote the book, so there's a lot of ground to cover. But I will say I did have a lot of strange experiences in my life that I had to survive. And the word trauma is thrown around so much, it's like hard for me to be like, I had all these traumas, but I did. I legitimately did. I grew up in a home with, we moved around constantly, and my mother had a lot of things that she needed to work through, and so we had some violence in the home and some abandonment and neglect, and my father left immediately before I was born. Never met him.
Oh, wow.
So it was just me and my mom and my brother, and
still to this day you've never met him.
No, and now he's gone, so I won't. But I actually found out that 17 years ago, I found out he passed away, and I was like,
17 years ago. Wow.
Which is so weird because I didn't know him, but I had to like grieve someone I did. It was like, it's like such a weird moment because I was like, oh my God, he's gone. But I couldn't be like sad that my dad died because I didn't know him. But at the same time, it was like I lost the opportunity to know him.
Yeah.
It was a very weird grieving period.
I bet. Yeah. Because you probably had in your head, maybe someday we'll have this reunion and then we'll have this relationship and we'll work through our shit. And then to have, and that may never have been the reality, of course, but now you'll never know.
Yeah, so it was crazy because I was about to get married and my husband was like, why don't you use the internet for good and like find your dad? So I signed up on Ancestry thinking like, oh, maybe I'll find a relative. I did the spit in the tube thing. And then I found him and he had just died like a few months before. So I was like, oh my God, it was just so bizarre. It was so bizarre because I was like, okay, this is going to be great. Like I'm going to find him. We're going to reconnect. Like, right. That whole fairy tale.
Yeah.
And no, he was gone. So it was very strange. It was a very strange like realization.
Yeah.
It's like, it's finite. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. Oh, man. Okay. Back up. We got on a tangent, but.
Okay. I will do that. I clearly have ADHD. You're
all
like
good.
listing the things I do, and I was like, oh my God, really? I did. And I do more now. That was from like February. I have 6 other things.
Oh, wow. Yes.
So I did grow up in Southern California, and we were very, very poor. So we, moved all over and wherever we could find place. And then when I got to adulthood, I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like I was never comfortable as an adult in California. So I picked the one place I knew somebody, and I packed my 2 suitcases and took $9 in my pocket, and I moved to Iowa on a Greyhound bus.
Oh, what?
Okay, this is like 1998, and there's like no internet, there's internet, but like not internet. We have cell phones, literally just like, I'm going to Des Moines all by myself, which I would kill my daughter. Kill her. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
So I moved to Iowa. I got married a couple of months later because a really great upbringing, so I had great skill sets. So I know how to manage my life.
How old
I
were
got
you?
married. 19.
Yeah.
We knew each other for 2 months.
Wow.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not my current husband, by the way. So we were married for 2 years, and then we're like, this is silly. We're not right for each other. It was a totally amicable divorce. We stayed friends for a long time, and then I got meningitis in 2001, and I almost died. I was in the hospital for I was in a coma on a ventilator. I was in the hospital for a month, and then they amputated some of my fingers. And by the time I got home, they flew me back to California, and by the time I got home to my mom's house, I couldn't walk. I couldn't use my hands. I had like very little short-term memory, and it was rough. So it was about a year to recover, and then I started to drink a lot because here's the thing: the doctors were like, "Listen, girl," because I was 22. They're like, "Girl, honey, you've been through a lot. This is a trauma that you've been through. You should start an antidepressant. We're going to give you Prozac." And I was like, I don't think so. I am going to drink heavily for 20 years instead. But thank you. I got this. That was kind of the thought process. Because at 22 years old, what do you know? So I could have taken the medicine and probably just been fine. But I drank instead. So then it's like the years, I don't know if you've ever gone through anything like that, but like the years of drinking create a lot of experiences you need to heal from. Like you put yourself in situations that you feel like shit about yourself, and you do shitty things, and then you think you're a shitty person. So you continue to do things that are not good, and you let people treat you a certain way because you think you're not worth much. So that was like a lot of years of experiences I had to process and go back through and heal from.
I'm learning a lot about addiction right now. So it's a very
like
interesting.
Just in this conversation.
No, but it's just something that's been coming up a lot for me. And so, it's been really interesting to learn about the, psychology behind it. And that spiral makes a lot of sense of how, you just get deeper and deeper into it. What did a day like of drinking look like for you? Like, were you down in giant bottles? Because it looks different for everybody, right?
Right. So actually, when I got sober, most people were like, "Oh, you don't even really you don't drink that much. Like, it's not really that big of a problem. I don't like. Can't you just slow down or like cut back a little?" Now, because I don't think anyone realized that I was fine during the week. If I had to work the next morning, I wasn't drinking. But on the weekends, if I had one, I had 12, and there was no off switch. So we would go to dinner, and I would have 2 drinks with dinner, and I'd be like, "Let's go!" And then that would be every the night. I'd come home, I'd keep drinking, and then you just like never knew what version of me you were gonna get. So my poor husband, who is just like, he's such a saint because he really put up with a lot for a lot of years. We were together. We were married for 15 years before I got sober. So we'd go out to dinner with me as one person and come home me as someone else. So that's more like how my pattern was. It was just that I had no off switch, and then usually I would feel so terrible about what I did the night before drinking so much. I'd be like, "Oh, forget it. Like, I'm just going to have a drink to feel better." And then it would perpetuate the same thing.
Alcohol is so socially acceptable. I think that's got to be, I mean, drug addictions are difficult as well. I don't want to like downplay that, but I think it's so much easier for us to rationalize the alcohol intake in our minds because everybody's doing it, right?
Doing it. Absolutely.
And it's not illegal, and it's not,
It's like, it's almost it's getting more and more commonplace for people to not drink. Like, even sober curious, like, that wasn't even a thing a few years ago. But I think now, because people are talking about it more, it's getting better. But literally, like, people will look at you and be like, "Oh, you don't drink? Like, why aren't you drinking?"
Yeah.
And then I get is when I first stopped drinking, I was like, "Yeah, I'm not drinking anymore. That's it." And they're like, people go, "Yeah, I don't really drink that much. I don't." And I was like, "This isn't about you.
Yeah.
You could drink whatever."
And that's another weird part about it too, is like there does tend to be sometimes judgment there of the people who aren't drinking, which is weird. But like, yeah, I mean, like all of a sudden you're not the fun person, or you're not, and I don't know if you know of Glennon Doyle, the author, her podcast I was listening to one time, and she's like, yeah, nobody ever asks you why you quit doing coke or why you quit shooting up heroin. Nobody ever asks you that, but they're like, why did you stop drinking?
Yeah. You know what? Because it is so socially acceptable, and it's also it shines a light on like other people drinking. They think it's putting a mirror up to them, and I think that's why I got so much of like, oh, I don't really drink that much. I mean, people that I've been wasted with were like, I don't really drink that much, and I'm like, no, it's not about you. Like, do you do you? It's just not good for me. But I think it is that like nobody asks. Yeah, you're right. Nobody asks you that.
No, it was a very enlightening conversation to have listened to. I was like, oh, you're right.
Yeah. And what's so funny about like not being fun anymore, right, is that, yeah, sometimes I was really fun, but more often than not, I was kind of an asshole. Like,
well, and that's it. Some people are fun and some people are assholes.
Yeah, and at some point, everyone becomes annoying.
Yes.
Right? You're telling the same story. You're being really loud. You're in my personal space. Like, there's a point now where I'm like, I'm good. I'm going home. Like, I'm done. Like, 'cause everyone's just kind of at that point. But I worried about that because I'm a big personality. I like to make people laugh and I like to be involved, and I'm very active, like, socially. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be so lame and so boring. And it turned out, actually, we played Dungeons and Dragons, which is like so
love that.
tricky. But the guys who all come and play, and they let me play. All the men let me play.
Nice.
They came and I had just gotten sober, and I don't even remember what I said, but one of the guys was like, oh my God, you're still good. Like, you're still funny even though you're sober. And I was like, okay, thanks. Like, I guess I will still be me. So that I'm like totally just rambling now, but
that's fine.
I do retell a story in the book about how I was worried about that, like not being the fun person. That's an identity I carried for a really long time. And so we went to this place in Brooklyn, because I live in New York now. So we went to this place in Brooklyn. It's called the House of Yes. And it's like an alternative like club kind of thing. And they do shows and stuff there. So they had a burlesque show that was like a Cirque du Soleil meets burlesque. So we're like, oh, we're going to go. It was 6 of us, like a group of couples, 3 couples. And we're like, this is going to be so fun. We got a little dressed up, like really cute. So we get there and they tell us that there's going to be a raffle. And I will never say no to a raffle. I have to. My husband just looked at me like, here's my wallet.
Oh,
and
no.
The raffle, if you won the raffle, you got to watch the rest of the show in a bubble bath next to the stage. So I was like, of course I'm going to do that. Now picture a room full, there's like at least 100 people there. There's a table full of alcohol in front of me. I'm drinking non-alcoholic Palomas, and everyone around me drinking champagne and cocktails and the whole thing. I'm the only sober person, I think, in Brooklyn. And I literally am like, I'm taking a bath tonight. I buy like all the raffle tickets. I obviously win because I bought all the raffle tickets. And I look at my friend who, she's been drinking, but she's fun. She would do it anyway. And I was like, we're doing this. And we literally had to go up on the stage. This is insane. I'm 46, 47 years old at this point. Go up on the stage, strip, and then get in a bathtub, in a bubble bath. I watched the stage, watched the rest of the show. We're basically in our underwear, and that's it, in a bubble bath. And I was like, I don't think the alcohol made me fun.
You're like, I'm just like this.
This is just who I am. And what was cool about it is that I would have done that had I been drinking. I 100% would have bought the raffle tickets. I would have done the strip. I would have gotten in the tub. But the next day, I would have felt ashamed because I wouldn't have felt like I made that choice with clarity, right? But now, because I know, I was like, this sounds amazing. When is this ever going to happen to me again? I got to do it and feel really great. I still laugh about it. We crack up about that story. Whereas normally, had I been drinking, I'd have been like, no, that sucks. That's embarrassing. So it kind of just changed it.
Yeah. So, I mean, how did you work through that part of it, of the, being like, oh no, but this is just me and I can have fun with these people without the alcohol?
I think I realized like that. So at the event, like even just that night, going in the bathtub or whatever, I knew it was like silly, and I was like, this is just an experience that I would do regardless. But later that night, we're walking in Brooklyn, and I didn't even tell you what I was wearing that night. So I'm wearing a black lace dress. It's totally see-through, but I have a halter top on underneath, a black one, and a little pair of black booty shorts. But I got in the tub in those shorts. So now when I get out of the tub and I go to get dressed, they give you a pair of like Amazon Essentials underwear. Like, okay. Brand new pair of underwear, but like, here's your parting gift. So I'm like, great. Wow. So I put on these black, like, granny panties that don't belong to me, this see-through dress, and my little halter top, and I'm walking the streets of Brooklyn. And I was like, this is how I know, like, I'm still me, and I feel better about it, is that I'm walking through Brooklyn in someone else's underpants in a see-through dress, and I'm just like, who cares? Like, this is fun, and it's silly, and and I think there's still moments where people will go, like, we had family, a bunch of girls in the family went to the wineries, and they didn't invite me. Didn't even mention it. So I'm like, that kind of sucks, because I'm like, I think that I'm still fun in those situations, but I have to kind of sit with, like, would I have wanted a sober person there with me when I'm being silly? So, like, those moments, I still have, like, doubts about, like, am I still fun? Like, am I, like, the lame one? But,
And maybe they were just thinking you wouldn't want to go if you're,
right.
if you're not drinking and they're going to do this thing that involves all drinking.
Right. They're going to be, like, wasted all day. Like, would I even want to be around it? And totally, like, there's so many layers to it. But I definitely at first was just like, oh, damn, like, maybe people don't want to hang out with me sober. I was like, oh, that's so sad. But then I'm like, no, it doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they want to hang out with me sober or not, because I do. Right. I want to hang out with me sober.
I also think that, like, giving you the option to turn that down or not turn that down is also a nice thing to do. Like, you may not have wanted to go, but it would have been nice if they would have been like, hey, we're doing this. Do you want to, I know you don't drink, but, like, do you want to come?
Yeah, like, the girls are all going to be together.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I know, like, we've talked about it and it's all good now, but, like, those kind of things do kind of, like, they sting a little, but at the same time, I know I made the right choice, and what I'm doing for my family and my everyday is more important than that one day at the winery.
Yeah. So let's back up again.
Okay.
What was the catalyst for finally becoming sober? You making that choice?
Yeah, there was definitely rock bottoms that I didn't recognize. So, a couple of years before I got sober, actually it was the year of COVID. So right before COVID, I have kidney disease, and my kidneys were not good. So I was in and out of the hospital the summer before COVID. And then COVID happened. I got it March of 2020. I was in the hospital during, like, OG COVID. Oh,
wow. In New York?
They were building the tent. They were building, like, the tent parts in the hospital outside my window. Like, whoa. It was traumatic being in the hospital for that. So I had that. I came home on oxygen. I had to recover from that. And then I broke my hip. And I was like, what do you do, right? So I drank because I didn't have the skill set to process these things. And I had never processed the years of traumas before that. So it's just, like, piling on top and piling on top. So there was a night, I'm sitting on my couch, my family went to bed, and I was just drinking. And I'm on crutches. I can't even walk. Like, I can't do anything. And I used to be very active and was very frustrated, like, just angry and sad. And I kept drinking. I kept drinking and drinking and drinking. And the more I drank, the more I thought about what a burden I am and how I am never going to be the same. And I can't even walk. I can't work. Like, there were all these cycles of thoughts of how terrible I am and how everyone would be better off without me. That got dark. Very dark. Yeah. So the next thing I remember, I was in my bed with my husband, and I said goodnight to him, and I was like, I don't remember if on the way to bed I took all of the Xanax or if I didn't take any. Okay, good night. And I, like, curled up and went to sleep. I legitimately didn't even remember. So I knew I thought about it. So my poor husband, he jumped out of bed and he ran and he checked, and thank God, divine intervention, I went to bed. I didn't take the Xanax. But the next morning, when I got up and didn't remember that this happened, it just, like, the house didn't feel right. Something, feel the energy in your house. I was like, oh my God, something's not right. And I hear my husband whispering, and his sister is there, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, like, she left with my daughter, and it was like, as soon as the door shut, it was like, I remembered what happened. I was like, oh my God. And my husband came in, and he was tears in his eyes, and he was just so upset. And he's like, you need to go to a hospital. So I did. I went to the hospital, and I spent 8 hours there just laying in a gurney. Like, I just needed help. And it's not that I wanted to die that night. And I want to make that so clear, because I have such a beautiful life, and I absolutely didn't want to die. I just needed a fucking minute, right? Like it was like too much for too long, and I just needed a fucking minute. And in my drunken stupor, I guess that's how I thought I would get there. Is like that would give me the peace that I needed in that moment. So, I saw the psychologist and they gave me meds, and I was like, I should probably take these. And so I don't think alcohol is doing the trick. And I went home and I, started therapy and all that, but it never occurred to me then still that alcohol was a problem. Ooh, so it was still a couple years after that I went out one night, I actually don't know how I got home. I didn't know how I got home. But the next morning, my husband wasn't in bed with me, and I was hungover again. And I went and found him in the house, and the look on his face was just, he was so disappointed. And not disappointed in me so much, but like disappointed that this is his life. And it broke my heart because I have an incredible husband. My daughter, that girl walks on water. Like, she is incredible. I have a beautiful home and family and everything. And like, I was ruining it. So I just looked at him and I was like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And that was it.
So did you just quit on your own? You didn't need any, that was that like, I love that.
I went to one AA meeting that week, and it's not for me. It was very dark. It was very heavy, and I am a joyful person. Like, I need joy. I couldn't do that. It's so funny because when I talk to people who have been to AA or like they love AA, they're like, really? There's meetings everywhere. Like, you went to one meeting. I'm like, I have
heard that like you need to find the right facilitator, the right meeting for you, but I don't know.
I always make the joke of like, it's like I tried on a pair of shoes, they didn't fit, and then I was barefoot for the rest of my life because I was like, I don't like it. I'm not going.
I mean, obviously you've been able to maintain it, so like, it's for some people and not everybody.
Yeah, and I found a group online. It's called Sober Girls Guide, and it's all women, and it's online, and there's meetings frequently throughout the week, and they're wonderful. So I did have a community, and I went to therapy and all that. But yeah, I just, from that moment, like, alcohol has never been an important thing to me. Like, I kind of washed my hands of it, and like, that doesn't serve me, and it's not in alignment. It's not in alignment with who I am and who I want to be. Yeah. So I just don't. Which is a very privileged place to be, because a lot of people, that's not how it goes. So I do recognize that. Very thankful.
I hear relapses are pretty common. Like, most people relapse multiple times before they fully quit.
And that's heartbreaking, because I can't imagine what takes you to that point. Like, the thought process, and then to have to go through it again to be like, oh shit. Like, I can't even imagine.
I mean, the people that I've seen do it, that I've had personal experience with, I think are the people who haven't quite worked through their shit in that sober time period, right? So they're just like, I'm sober. And then a few months into it, they go back to it because, they're like, oh, well, I'm good. Or, oh, I can just have one, or I can control it. But I really think that working through I think, as the outsider looking in, that, working through the emotional side of it is huge, right?
I think you're right. Yeah, because the reason we drink as much as we do is because we have a reason to, right? Like, there is something making. I was on a podcast once, I was telling my story, and she had read my book, and she was like, I'm just going to say, like, no wonder you drank. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. No wonder I drank, because I didn't have coping skills, and I needed to shut everything down. So no wonder I drank. But now that I've worked through so much of my stuff, not all of it, there's still stuff to go through.
Oh, there's always going to be stuff.
Yeah. So, and I'm creating more stuff as I live. Like, I just happen. I'm still human.
Yes.
But like, going through that definitely helps settle that feeling that I need quiet, or I need an outside source to quiet.
So, I mean, how much of your drinking, you mentioned that it started after your health issues. How much of that, when you started doing therapy and stuff, was also your childhood and some of that stuff that happened?
So much of it, because there was a lot of feeling in me that I had very little worth, and that stemmed from my childhood, and then it just grew as I was a disaster. So feeling like so my father left before I was even born, never came back. My mom would drop us off with people and leave for months at a time, weeks at a time, whatever. She would leave. I can't deal with you anymore. And then she would come back and say, they can't deal with you anymore. And so it was a lot of like, I didn't have anywhere to be. I didn't belong to anybody. So when you don't have somebody claiming you as a child, like that's a hard place to be. And it builds this identity in you and this belief system that you don't belong and you don't have a lot of worth. But in a bar, you always belong. Always, always, always. And it's not the best thing. Like, it's not where you want to belong. But you will always have a friend there. So there was like a safety there for me, but it also quieted the noise that I wasn't enough. I was never enough. Yeah. So I tell the story. My husband and I have been together for 21 years. And until I started working through my shit, I fully believed at any moment he was going to pack a bag and leave. And he loves me. Like we have a great marriage, but there's this little piece of me that believed for almost 20 years that he was going to leave at the drop of a hat because I wasn't worth staying. Like if I caused a problem in any way, I wasn't worth staying with. And I carried that for a long time. And now that I could go back and look at those situations again in a different light, look at my childhood differently, look at my divorce differently, like all of these things, it changes the perspective, and the perspective change helped me rewrite those beliefs and that identity.
Yeah, but that had to be so hard to work through. I mean,
so much work. So much work.
So, I mean, this is probably a more in-depth, complicated question, but how did you find eventually, I mean, certainly it was more than just, changing your mindset around things and reframing things, but like, how did you find that self-worth then?
Yeah. So they sell it at Costco. It's next to the tires and the chop meat. It was a lot of work. It really was. Yeah. And so when I got sober, I was also diagnosed with ADHD within 10 days of getting sober, which is like my mind just exploded. Because I was like, all of the things that I thought made me less than as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, like not being able to keep a schedule, not keeping my house the way it should be, like not cooking dinner every night, like all of these things, forgetting stuff all the time. I beat myself up over those things all the time for my whole life. And now to realize like that's just how my brain works. And I found systems that helped me manage my life better. That was huge for my self-worth in and of itself. Yeah. Then I had to go back. So I talk about it in the rooms. It's called The Room to Be Brave because it's literally me going back into the rooms that shaped me. So it's going into the rooms and those spaces and those moments where my identities and beliefs were formed. So super scary, right? I just saw your face. You're like, ew. You like literally backed up. You're like, I'm
having this like massive visual of like a movie scene where you go into these rooms and you have to face like monsters.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll tell one quickly, but it's, so I had my fingers amputated when I had meningitis, and I was 22 years old. I was adorable, and I was a bartender, and I'm 22, like you lose your fingers. It was traumatic.
Devastating.
But when I left the hospital, I had this huge like glove on my hand because it was still stitches and all that. So shortly after, I had to go to the surgeon's office, and he had to remove the bandages from my hand. So I had never seen it. So as long as the bandages were on my hand, I could still feel my fingers. Like the nerve endings didn't know, so you could still feel it. It was like phantom. So I didn't know what to expect. So when I got there, they opened it up, and I didn't even look at first. Like I had my hand off to the side. And when I did pull it in front of my face, it was the most traumatic moment. Could not think about that room and that space and that moment for 20 years. I could, if it came up, I'd shut it back down. I had to. I couldn't process it. So now doing this work and going back, it was scary to think like, okay, I need to sit in that space and I need to sit in that moment that I know hurt so much at that time. When I realized going back now, I have the power and the control over that moment. So it's not, it encapsulates it. So putting it into a room means it's this moment in this space, and now I can go into it. I could sit with that part of me, and when it's too much, I can leave. And that power over the room and the space gave me the strength and the courage to go back in. So then so this is kind of how I did, was I would journal about it. And this is how I felt when it happened. And this is what the room looked like. And this is how the doctor was this, and my mom was there, and this happened. And I do tell the story in the book, and because I was able to finally go back through it. But once I was through that and I could write about it, I could talk about it in therapy, and then they could give me perspective on it. And then I could meditate into it. So I could like literally, I keep saying literally, it's not literal, figuratively, mentally, spiritually, emotionally sit in that space with that younger version of myself and like bring her forward. And it's so healing to be able to feel it and integrate that memory. And now I know, like, yeah, that sucked. Like that was the worst. However, I'm here now and I survived that and I'm better for it. Now I work in occupational therapy and I help other people who have amputations or illnesses or, accidents, and I help them recover. So I can go back into that space and say, yes, that was a traumatic moment, but it isn't who I am, and then pull that forward. So it was complicated to be able to go back into all the different spaces. But once I started doing it, I was like, oh, you know what I want to clear next? Oh, wait, I'm going back into this space. Let me see what this one was about, because you can change the perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. But you have to face it.
Yes.
Which is...
So that's the thing, too, is like we put all of this power on that space. But we're doing that. Like we have to be able to separate ourselves from that, because the room only has power when you give it power.
Yeah.
Right? So these traumatic events, like I've had some very significant traumatic events, like that's just one. And to go back into, rooms where my mother hurt me, like physically, violently hurt me, to go back into that space was scary, but it wasn't more than I could handle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it just proves how strong and resilient we all are. We just don't realize it a lot of the time.
Yes. But that's the thing, is like you already survived that moment.
Yeah.
You already survived that moment.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I would never say like you should heal while you're in the middle of something. Like,
Right.
Like give
A lot
yourself
easier
space.
said than done, for sure.
Right, right. But going back into something that's already happened, especially when you're looking at like your childhood. So imagine you're 7 and something happens to you, and now you form an opinion about yourself and the experience with the mind of a 7-year-old, and now you carry that forward, and now you're like 47, and you're like, well, hold on a minute, like I've been carrying that wrong this whole time. Like I thought I was a terrible person, but only because I was 7 looking at this situation. Looking at 47 is a completely different thing.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I know.
It's all so hard. Life is just so hard.
It's so hard. But I'll tell you, like, yeah, I didn't want to go through a lot of that stuff. But, for example, my mother, I carried so much anger and so much pain in our relationship that I don't have anymore. Because I could look at the spaces we were in together and the things that happened there and understand that she was carrying a ton of shit too. And like stuff she never worked through and stuff she didn't know how to work through. So I don't think she ever was like, I'm going to hurt my children. I think she was so broken, she didn't know what she was doing. So it changed that perspective. So even something as hard as like my mother, doing these horrible things, like not horrible. I mean, it was violent. So even those moments, I can go back and be like, I feel bad for her.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of that compassion we need to have in life. Like, not that you're excusing the behavior or giving a pass to the behavior, but like, I think it's really important to understand that people who hurt other people are usually hurt themselves. And, they're not working through their shit, and they're not doing what they need to do, and they're doing the best they can to survive in those moments.
Exactly. And that doesn't mean like take it, right? Once you know better, you set your boundaries and you create your space that you need. But when you're looking back at something, you can say like that is a situation that happened because of where they were in their life. So like all those experiences with my mom that I thought made me less than had nothing to do with me.
Yeah. That had to be so hard to acknowledge, though. So that was probably quite the journey to get to that point for you.
Yeah, And there were some times where I was like, no, forget it. Like, she would make me mad currently and like nowadays. And I'd be like, no, forget it. Like, now I'm so mad at her. And then I had to remember, like, I am on this journey of healing. She didn't agree to that. Like, I agreed to be better and do better and process this in a different way. She didn't agree to that. So I can't hold her to it. I could set a boundary and not accept it, but I don't have to hold her to the changes I'm making. She didn't agree to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, and I think that that's really hard as with anybody who's going through a healing journey, because it would be so nice if everybody went on that journey with us.
Oh yeah, and you see
everybody that we loved. Yeah.
You see some shit when you start like healing and rising above, and then you're like you start to see people a little differently in a good way and a bad way.
And you want that for them. Like, I've found that in my own journey, like I just want everyone to, feel as good as I'm feeling, or, do the thing. And it's so much easier as the outsider looking in to be like, you need to do this, you need to do this. Oh, if you would just do this, I could see how much better your life could be. But like, they have to be wanting to do it themselves, right?
And I have pulled away from people who are just they're not in that. They're not ready for it. And if it's pulling me down and turning me, like bringing me back into like a place where I'm like gossipy or catty or like negative in that space, I don't want it. So I have pulled away because I'm like, I'm in a healing place. I'm in a place where I'm moving forward and I'm moving up and I'm not sinking back down. So like pulled away.
That's really hard to do. I mean, they say that a lot when you that you end up losing a lot of friends and stuff like that, because when you start going through these journeys because of that.
But you know what else? Yes, that's 100% true. But it also opens this space for these other people, because I've met the coolest people that are in the same place that I am. So it's like you're shedding this negative crap. Not that they're crap, that's not nice, but you know what I mean, like their energy, like the energy of crap, and then you're bringing in this beautiful stuff because you have the space for it. If you keep that crappy stuff, you don't have space for the good stuff. Just so eloquent.
I liked it.
I'm a writer. Like that.
But it's so true. I mean, I don't know. I do. I want to pull everyone on my healing journey. I want to be like, come with me. Let's do this in kumbaya together.
Yes, I try so hard, but if you're not ready, you're on your own. Get out. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully you can see the changes in not just me, but the other people around you that are healing, and that it will bring you to that point when you're ready.
I mean, it's kind of the same with addiction too, right? Like these people have to want it themselves.
Yes, exactly. 100%.
Which I feel like I'm getting a whole new perspective on like interventions, like, because how could that person like possibly not feel ganged up on? And then if they're not ready to acknowledge and accept and then go get I mean, sure, sometimes it works out that way, but I bet you more often than not, it's a like
I wonder what the math is on that.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder what the percentage is of people who've had interventions, like what the percentage of their relapse is. Because it wasn't their choice. Like, they didn't get to that point. Because just being told you're going to die, like, this is bad for you. Like, we know that. Like, nobody doing heroin is like, this is like carrots, right? It's the same. Right. Like, nobody. So I wonder I'm going to Google that later. Like, what is that?
Yeah, it would be really interesting to know the statistic there, because I think that those people probably feel like super ganged up on and defensive, and especially when they don't see it coming, which they don't typically. But there are specialists out there for that. So maybe there is a good way to do that and facilitate that. But
like maybe they do need to hear those messages like from people who love them. But I don't know.
But I wonder if you could give those messages individually too. Maybe it doesn't have quite the same effect, but certainly when you have that one-on-one, it's got to register somewhere at some point.
I will tell you, if my friends and family staged an intervention, I would have been pissed. Mortified. I'd be like, really? We're all going to sit here and you're going to tell me how wrong I am.
Yeah.
Well, I would be like, let me tell you about you and you. And I don't think that I wouldn't have handled that very well.
Yeah, and to tell you all the ways you've wronged all these people you love, which you have, but like...
And you know that. Like, but you know that.
Yeah. That was the interesting thing I think recently that I learned about addiction is like addicts are not... They may ignore those behaviors, but they know. deep down. Like you said, that's why they are, then there's the shame, and then there's,
That's the spiral, right? Like you keep doing it because you feel like shit about it. Like,
yeah.
no, you really don't think you're doing something great. You don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. Okay. So the book is out now. Where can people get it?
So you could get it on my website at aprildaygarcia.com. And it's also on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, bookshop.org. It's on all the online retailers. It's what I love. So the book is written as each chapter is a room I had to return to heal in that space.
Okay.
And sit with the pieces of myself that I left there and kind of, sit with her and bring her forward. So that's literally each room. I bring you into the space, bring you into the moment, and then tell you the perspective I had then and the perspective I got going back. So you get to see kind of the whole journey for each experience. And then towards the end, I tell you how I did that, like the tools that I used and kind of where there's like a where they are now section at the end for a lot of people in the book. But I thought I was just sharing my story. Like I just had to get my story out, right? And I'm getting feedback that is just, I am so humbled by because people are messaging me and they're like, this is bringing me into rooms I haven't thought about in decades and rooms I need to work through. And it's giving them the permission to do that, that you can go back. It's not like, oh, it happened, just forget it. Right. That you can acknowledge that it's affecting you to this day and that you can go back and take care of it. And it's so overwhelming. And I love it. It's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody I've talked to on here that has written a book said that the process of it was actually very healing as well.
Oh my God, so healing. And even just talking to people now and hearing, women sharing their stories. I feel like especially women for some reason, but when we share our stories, it gives other women the permission to share theirs. And so having people come to me and share their stories is also giving me that, not just validation for sharing my own, but it gives me a community of people that we're sharing together. It's just amazing what it's been doing. It's been so fun.
And to just know that your story is helping people. I'm sure that is huge for you too.
Yeah. So like I said before, like I've been through so many different types of experiences and some of the stories are just embarrassing and like funny because I mean, it's still life. Like I still did stupid stuff too. That's just silly. But I feel like you're not going to see yourself in every room, but you will see yourself in at least one because that's what my experience was like. And if that's what I went through all these things for, then that's awesome. I would do it again if it meant that it was going to help other people.
Yeah, for sure. So what are you doing now? We said lots of different things,
my goodness. Okay, so the foundation's kind of on hold right now. We're trying to transition that. We're not sure what we're doing yet. So, but I am we're launching in July, on July 4th, a program that is for travel agents to learn how to manage the accessible market. So how to plan travel that's accessible, that's safe and dignified for people, because there is no training for travel agents. There's no standard comprehensive training on accessible travel, which is crazy to me because like 25% of Americans identify as disabled or needing accessibility in travel. So we're building that and launching that in July. So super excited about that.
So do you love to travel? Is that how that came about?
I do love to travel. And I do occupational therapy. And there was a man who had lost his one leg from the knee down. And we were talking because in OT, it's very like meaningful occupation is huge. So we're like, oh, what do you like to do? He was like, well, I used to travel to Aruba with my family every year, but I guess that's over. And I was like, wait, but why? Why? That doesn't make any sense. And then I realized, like, the more people I talk to, they don't travel anymore because they don't know how. And when I started to look into it and realized that travel agents don't know how either, that just kind of inspired that I could cross my love of travel with OT and hopefully help some people.
Yeah, I mean, I know that can bring on a whole level of anxiety too when you're disabled like that, and then you want to be able to do that, but like not knowing if there's going to be a way for you to go, then that's probably why they just don't go because they don't.
If I get to Aruba and can't take a shower, what am I going to do?
Right.
Like it's not even as much like, oh, I can't get onto the beach, but like, can I use the toilet? Can I get in and out of the bed? Like those things become really big issues. I read stories all the time about people who are like, oh, I went on vacation and it's an accessible room, but I couldn't get into the bed because it was too low or it was too high or whatever. Because like travel agents don't know to ask those questions when they're booking a room for somebody who needs it. So we're giving them like the thought process and the questions to ask and all that. So that's our big thing I'm doing right now. But I'm also speaking on the book and identity and your belief system and going back and healing and out there with the book. So that's kind of my big focus right now.
Yeah.
When I'm not in my day job.
I love that. Do you find that there are a lot of travel options then for that have the accessibility, or is it hard to even find, hotels that are work and things like that?
Yeah. So with ADA, so the American Disabilities Act, a lot of things have been standardized, which is amazing. However, people are not standardized, right? So what one person needs, if you have that in your hotel, another person, it's completely not accessible to them. Right. So not just that, it's also the airline industry is not trained. Basically, every industry, I shouldn't pick on the airlines, but no industry is really trained to handle people with sensory needs, neurodivergence, people with medical complexities. They're just not educated and they're not trained. So you can find some places, like I will call out Beaches. Beaches is autism certified. So they have spaces and activities and food, like their diets, everything is coordinated around being a safe and dignified environment for people with autism, which I think is fantastic. I know Disney is great with accessibility. Like there are companies that do it, but I would like to flip the table on the whole industry and make this like a standard thing. I think the same way you have HR, you should have somebody there for accessibility.
Yeah.
And every resort, every cruise ship, every like every airline, everything. There should be an accessibility person.
Everybody deserves to have those experiences. So
and it's not just vacation. Like think so my friend's husband is a wheelchair user and his dad is very sick in another state. For him to travel to see his father is a production because he doesn't know how to do it. And to find a travel agent that could help him do that is hard to do. So he's like, am I even going to be able to see my father before he passes? That's terrible. So it's not even just like, I want to go to Disney, but like, I want to go to my cousin's wedding, or I want to see my grandmother, or, like these are the life experiences that people are missing out on. So we're kind of hoping, to flip the whole industry.
Yeah. And maybe, maybe you'll become the person that people, come to ask. Maybe the hotels will be like, hey, what do we need? Help us. Maybe you'll be consulting in the future.
I would love it. I would love it. And not just for me, obviously, but because I think it would be so amazing to have this be like a standard. Well, the bar is low. The bar is low.
And I mean, there are so many different types and ways and things like that. And, like you said, I think education is just huge on it. And then being willing to want to learn and implement all that stuff. And so
it's crazy. I've done so much research in the last year trying to put this all together. And the travel industry, the accessible travel industry, is a $58 billion industry. So it's like not a niche industry, right? Like, this is like it's a big deal. We're like, why is nobody touching this? And I think they're just scared. I think they're scared to do wrong and don't realize how big of a deal it is. So we're hoping to make that difference.
I love that. So what is that like? So if somebody who has some disabilities or whatever wants to travel, they just reach out to you guys and then you are their travel agent.
So we're actually not exactly. We are training travel agents.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So our customer is the travel agent so that we can educate. There are 190,000 travel agents in the US. We want to educate them so that when you want to travel, you can call your local travel agent and be like, I'm a wheelchair user, or my son is on a feeding tube, or whatever it is, and say, listen, I want to go to Bermuda. Can you help me? And they'll be like, absolutely. Tell me about your son's condition. Does he need this? What does his day look like? And to know the right questions to ask. I want it to be a baseline for the industry.
Yeah. Okay. So you want to attract the travel agents.
Yes. Those are my people.
Yes. I love that. I think that's so great. And you have Or do you do travel agent stuff too? Or
I do. I'm not really advertising it as much now because I'm working on the training, but I literally am booking 2 trips right now that are accessible. So, which that's my happy place. Like, I want to, because it's not only is it problem solving and creativity like I love, but knowing that these people are going to be able to go safely is it's awesome. It's everything.
yeah. Well, and yeah, to give them peace of mind is huge. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited. So I'm doing 2 right now, but like I said, I don't really advertise it because I want to put a lot of my energy into the speaking and the book and then the
Yeah.
training. So apparently I can only spread myself so thin because my laundry is piled.
Yep,
And my
yep.
husband is like, "Are you gonna like mop this month?" And I'm like, "I'll probably get to it."
I mean, that's not what lights you up is doing laundry. So,
Seriously, there's no dopamine in vacuuming. There just
no,
isn't.
no, absolutely not.
He's learning.
Well, April, this has been a lovely conversation, and I thank
Fun.
you for coming and sharing your story and putting your book into the world and doing everything that you're doing. I think you're quite the light, and good job on all of your healing also.
Thank you. Thank you too. You too. I know you've been going through yours too.
Yes, yes. I mean, we all have some. That's, why I did this podcast because I believe everybody has their shit. Everybody has something hard that they're working through, and I wish that that wasn't the case, but that is the world we live in.
Yep. No, you're right. It's how we grow.
I hate that concept too. I mean, I
I
love it, but I hate
know.
it, right? Like, why do we all have to go through hard shit in order to become better people? Why?
Wouldn't it? Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice just to be like every year on your birthday, now you've unlocked a new skill? That would be such a nice way
Yes.
to do it.
Life is just a video game. You just got to get to the next checkpoint.
Exactly.
That's so
Exactly.
true.
Oh
So
my
true.
goodness.
So, anyways, but I am sorry for everything you went through, but I'm glad that it's brought you to where you are now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And do you have any parting words for my listeners before we go?
So, one of my favorite things to tell people is, looking back at your life and thinking about your moments that you need to heal from, whether it's something you did or somebody else did, is that your past does not define you, your courage does. So, you
I
go
that.
back, go back. You got this.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for that. And thanks again for coming on.
Oh my gosh,
I
thank you.
will put all of the, looks like all the ways to get a hold of you, your website, the book in the show notes. So if anybody's looking for that quickly, you can go look there.
Awesome.
But yes, otherwise, thank you so much, April. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody, for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.